All right, everyone. Another day, another craptivistic judge. Link in the description, archived, of course. Very, very interesting structure to this article, talking about how the Trump administration has been shot down now by, again, another activistic judge on expediting the deportation of people who have been in the interior of the country. So they're not near the border, and they've been here for longer than a few weeks. And the court makes the bizarre decision that, well, they have an extreme interest in liberty and must be afforded Fifth Amendment rights, so due process. Now, the first problem is that these are not citizens. The second problem is that they are illegally in the country. They are already breaking the law. If a person is detained and is not capable of providing information that would allow them to show, hey, I'm a citizen, like, hey, here's my social security number. Most people carry an ID around. Check my fucking pocket. Like when I go out, I have a driver's license on me. If I were detained by ICE agents, I would say, yeah, just look in my wallet. I'm obviously a citizen if I've got one of these. And it ain't one of the ones with the little symbol on it showing that I'm actually legally in the country and Gavin Newsom just decided I should be able to drive a car and a truck at the same time. This is ignoring the law, though. And there's one part here. I'm going to read this part verbatim because this is buried all the way at the bottom of the article. This is from CNN. I wonder why this is the very last section of the article where virtually nobody has actually read to. This is called a lie by structure. Everyone read the title. Most people read the first few sentences. Almost nobody came all the way down here to the end of the article. It's like maybe 1 in 100 people. This is from the judge. This is inexplicable. The court does not cast doubt on the constitutionality of the expedited removal statute. Well, there you go. Nor on its long-standing application at the border, Cobb said in her Friday decision. It merely holds that in applying the statute to a huge group of people living in the interior of the country who have not previously been subject to expedited removal, the government must afford them due process. The procedures currently in place fall short. And this judge has, by the way, blocked several other things related to trying to, get people who are illegally in the country out of the country. Trump is doing everything that he possibly can to try to clean up the mess that was left largely by the last few administrations, other than that brief 4 years that he was prior in office. For the most part, we haven't really had anyone take the border seriously since before the Reagan era. The modern hegemon of uniparty globalistic politics has slowly opened the border more and more. And it's not just a Democrat-Republican thing. George W. was a slouch when it came to the border, too, and so was Ronald Reagan. And Herbert Walker, basically the same thing. So it ain't just Clinton, Obama, and Biden that left the door open. All the others did, too. It's only Donald Trump who's actually managed to try to close it. Look, since that period of time, well, technically since the goddamn 60s, we've had president after president after president talk a big game. They all sounded exactly like Trump. If you look at a transcript of Obama's speeches in relation to immigration law, you could attribute that to Donald Trump and go to any college campus in the goddamn country and say, what do you think about this statement that Trump made the other day with regards to immigration? Oh my God, that's so draconian and horrible. He's basically referring to them as subhumans. Well, so yeah, orange man bad. I told you he was a Nazi and a fucking fascist. Hey, that's actually Barack Obama's speech from 2009 or something like that. They've done this before. This happens all the time because people don't read into these articles. They don't even know what the hell's going on. These are your informed voters, by the way, and they're not all just left-wingers. Some of them are right-wingers, too. You should see, some of the people that I fraternize with are like, they're heavily conservative. Like, I'm not a conservative myself, but I tend to get along with people on the right more than people on the left at this point, because people on the left think that I goose step down the streets and stuff like that. Now, if I say Heil Hitler, it's because I'm listening to Kanye and I find it funny. I'm liberty-minded, not interested in socialism of any stripe. But this has happened before, and you can do that with any president. You look at what Bill Clinton said about it. Obama, Clinton, Herbert Walker, W, certainly Biden. They all sounded about the same. Presidential candidates. Goddamn, look at Bernie Sanders and his views morphing over time. Until he ran for the presidency, Bernie Sanders was like, well, we do need to control the illegal immigration some because it's reducing wages for American workers. We need to look at the working class. The government needs to take care of these people. And I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Scary fucking shit. But then, as soon as he ran for the presidency, he has, a road to Damascus moment, I suppose. He says, well, we need to be more kind to our southern neighbors and let them in the country. We need more housing for these migrants. Never using the term illegals, by the way. No, these are disenfranchised BIPOC who simply want a better life. Not one of them is a cartel member, and absolutely none of them are members of any terrorist groups, by the way, either. Jia Cobb is ignoring the law of the land. Illegal means illegal, period. Now, you can defer action. You can say, well, yeah, this person's illegally in the country, but they've got 3 kids here, and we can't deport them because of our birthright citizenship policy. So unless there's a constitutional amendment or an act of Congress, you can't do anything about that. I wish that more people understood. Just because it's self-evident that the policy should be changed doesn't mean it has been changed. For legal intents and purposes, therefore, birthright citizenship at this moment is honored in the United States. So this person, they're not committing any other crime, and they're paying, taxes. They're working under the table, but they still file taxes. This does happen, by the way. So they're hoping to get in the good graces of the nation. They got 3 kids that are all citizens in the country. Am I going to prioritize deporting this person? No. But her next door neighbor is selling fentanyl to school children because he's cracked out of his mind and insane. Yeah, I would rather deport that person. It's a pretty easy choice if I can only deport one of these 2 people, which one is leaving and which one is staying. And the fact is, for those of you that are real hardliners on immigration, one thing you must understand, there are so many illegals in the country and so many uncooperative state and city forces around the country that it is not possible to completely clean the rolls. Trump is doing the best job that he can, and I give him an A+ so far. He has managed to reduce the backlog of deportation proceedings in immigration courts by 300,000 people in only a half a year. If this continues at that rate, you're going to have a very, very small backlog left by the time that he leaves office. You have improvements to the wall, the wall that's already been built. That's being retrofitted as we speak. I shouldn't wonder that he will allocate more funds from discretionary spending to expand it further. So on that, he's doing a good job. His administration, meanwhile, is accomplishing this while being faced with nothing but adversity over and over and over again by an out-of-control judiciary, and the judiciary process moves very slowly. A misdemeanor will see you in court for 6 months. A mild misdemeanor, 6 months. And then proceedings beyond that as well, and cost tens of thousands of dollars potentially to defend yourself. Imagine when you're talking about high-level federal courts cases involving potentially millions of people affected with dozens of different litigants from different states and municipalities. It all becomes a giant sticky ball of spaghetti more than anything else. And trying to parse it apart takes a very long amount of time. Trump has the unfortunate task of having to try to do this after years, nay, decades of neglect of the southern border and of our immigration policy. This decision is a farce, and again, most people didn't read down far enough to know that the judge didn't even quantify this as it's unconstitutional. No, the program's perfectly fine. I'm just deciding to block it unilaterally because of my fifis. That was basically the decision. I'd like to read the full text of it, actually. That's about all. Peace out.